Welcome to Lauterbrunnen! Some places don't need sunshine to be beautiful, and Lauterbrunnen is one of them. Wow, it's so beautiful. In the pictures. Alright, let's get started. So in this video, I will show you what it's like to explore one of Switzerland's most famous valleys. And we explored it in the rain. It was raining on and off the entire time we were there. So we had to change our plans a little bit, but honestly, it didn't ruin our experience at all. So the first thing anyone's going to do when they get here, get off the train or get out of the car, is you're going to be walking through the village, which is absolutely worth doing. You can check out the cute houses, the cute wooden houses, beautiful gardens, the cute coffee shops, with fantastic mountain views all around. This place really does have a vibe of that. Even the cheese is very relaxed here. Walking around the village of Lauterbrunnen feels special, especially if you're not used to places like this. Being from London and living in Shanghai, we see absolutely amazing cities, but here we see towering cliffs, waterfalls everywhere, and a peaceful atmosphere that feels so unreal to what we're used to. And yes, Lauterbrunnen is gonna get very busy with tourists, but I also feel that there's a reason why some places become popular. Lauterbrunnen isn't somewhere you can really keep hidden, and honestly, it deserves all the attention it gets. Even on a rainy day that we were there, just wandering through the village felt like calm, it was quiet, it was a very grounding experience for us. Staubbach Falls, I believe, is the name of the most famous waterfall out of all the waterfalls here in Lauterbrunnen. The big, beautiful waterfall you'll see the moment you step off the train. It drops almost 300 meters straight down, like the valley's trying to impress someone. Stand beneath it, get a full face of mist, and it will just be magical. You can actually go behind the waterfall, but we didn't feel like we needed to, as looking at it from the outside, watching it drop off the cliff is more than enough for us, and we was already getting very soaked from the rain that we didn't need to get wet from the waterfall as well. But the mist is just like drifting through the valley. We stood there staring at this waterfall for way longer than is necessary, but it was just a very peaceful view. So if it were a person, it probably would have felt a little bit uncomfortable from the amount of attention we were giving it, but it's not. It's a magical landmark, so stare as long as you want. Another place that you should absolutely visit, because it's on the place that everyone takes photos of, is the Reformed Church. We are currently inside the white church here in Lauterbrunnen, and it is more than just a perfect picturesque at the top where it perfectly lines up with the waterfall. It is a 15th century piece of valley history, still ringing true. It just stands here quietly amongst the cliffs, the waterfall, and all the curious tourists. So it's definitely worth taking a short trip inside just to check it out. If you're religious, then you can make a prayer. Other than that, it's just a very cool piece of architecture to come and check out. It's a simple, peaceful church that blends beautifully into the surroundings. The design reflects Swiss Protestant values: modest, functional, and calm. And it feels like a quiet anchor in the middle of such a dramatic landscape. So even if you're not religious, it's worth stopping by just for the atmosphere alone. From Lauterbrunnen, we headed up to Mürren. Now this is a car-free mountain village sitting high above the valley. We spent a long time sitting in a coffee shop here, avoiding the rain. It really did start to come down at this point. If you're lucky, we can get a few breaks in the rain, and you just can see the beauty that these mountains would be. Man, I wish we could see these without the clouds. But when the clouds lifted, there was just enough of a peak to see some incredible mountain views. So even though Mürren is a little bit smaller and a little bit quieter, which is still perfect, It's like perched on the edge of the cliff, and these dramatic views towards different mountains like Eiger, Monarch, Jiao, Fu mountains, all perfectly pronounced. Even with low visibility, we could just tell just how special this place was and just how amazing these views would have looked if the clouds could have just parted ways a little bit. But we didn't quite get that. We did have to change our plans a little bit though. From Mürren, we wanted to go up to a place called Allmendhubel. I'm sure I pronounced that one wrong because I never got to go there. But the rain just didn't let up. So we asked one of the staff at the cogwheel station, or the cable car station, and he told us that people had gone up, but they've kind of come back down because there's not really a lot that you're going to see there. And it gets even smaller and smaller from Lauterbrunnen and Mürren to this other place. But we think we made the right call because there wasn't a lot up there. We couldn't really have stayed and played in the playground that was up there either. But it's still another magical place you can go to, and it looked fantastic when I was scrolling through it on the phone. So sometimes plans change, but that's okay. So unfortunately, due to weather conditions, we did miss some activities that we would like to have done, but there's always next time. This is a good reason to travel back. So the most famous one everyone will also want to go to that we missed, not the most famous one overall, is Staubbach Falls. It's about a 40 to 50-minute hike, or you can just take a short bus ride to get there. And then there's Wengen on the full Allmendhubel route, which unfortunately we weren't able to go to either. And there's the famous mountain with the top of Europe on there, which we actually went to from Grindelwald instead. But honestly, this just gives us another reason to visit Switzerland and Lauterbrunnen again. And just check this out. You just know this would be one epic view if it wasn't for all the clouds and the rain that we've got going on here. Just awesome. We spent a lot of time hiding in coffee shops and convenience stores to avoid this rain. But you know, when you're in Switzerland, actually these are surprisingly good places to wait out bad weather. And despite how it might look at times in the video, we were actually having a laugh the entire day. And even though it kind of slowed us down, but in a place like Lauterbrunnen and Mürren, that isn't always a bad thing. It was actually a perfect way to rest a little bit after being a little bit exhausted from London. Other than when it's not raining, that is. We do get brief moments where there is no rain. So those are going to be ideal. That's going to be the time where you want to take your photos, try and get around, try and see as much as you can during those rain breaks, if it is raining when you get here. Unfortunately, we were kind of rained out. We had to spend a lot of time taking shelter, going into shops. Not bad, but not exactly what we wanted to see when we was coming here. So I feel you kind of have two options. You can decide to just come and explore, even though it's raining, which is what we did, the better option. Or you just kind of stay in your hotel room, which, so when you're taking once in a lifetime trips, you probably don't want to spend too much time in the hotel room. You'll want to spend as much time out in the country as possible. Moving on to our food and drink experience. Now, we spent a lot of time in Café Liv. They do serve local tea there. However, I forgot to get any video footage of the brand, but it was slightly sweet and comforting, perfect for the rainy day we were currently experiencing, especially when paired with the hot chocolate. So Lauterbrunnen doesn't have a local unique dishes, but you'll see plenty of Swiss cheese everywhere, from locally sourced from around the valleys that are close by. We grabbed a meat and cheese snack from the convenience store. Simple, but this felt like the most Swiss thing I could have eaten at the time. And we obviously picked up a Rivella drink. This is a classic Swiss drink that you'll definitely want to try. This is much better than Coke. If I could buy this in more places, I absolutely would. Getting around Lauterbrunnen, it's kind of easy. Your legs are going to be your best friend here. The whole town is walkable, and honestly, you're going to want to walk it because the views are stunning. So if we had managed to do our full plan, this is how we would have taken our train rides all the way up to Allmendhubel, if the weather had been just a little bit better. So from Lauterbrunnen, you can get a cable car to Grützgolp. And there is literally a 5-second short walk from that train to get onto the train to Mürren, pass in the brilliantly named Winter Egg. Then once you're in Mürren, it's not too difficult to find a cogwheel train that goes all the way up to Allmendhubel. Even the journey itself is part of the experience. So whether you're walking, wheeling, soaring, Lauterbrunnen's got your back. Just don't forget to look up and see the gorgeous waterfalls. Similar to Lungen, we stayed in Interlaken, which gave us more accommodation options and slightly better prices. There are plenty of hotels, well maybe not plenty, it's a small valley, but there are hotels in Lauterbrunnen itself, but they tend to be a little bit more on the expensive side. If you're on a budget and staying nearby and commuting in really works as well. So how long to spend here in Lauterbrunnen? We came for a day trip, and honestly, it's the kind of place where time just melts away. You can see the main spots in just a few hours, but if you're a hiker, a photo nut like we are, or someone who just likes pretending you're in like Lord of the Rings, then you're going to want to stay a little bit longer, like maybe forever. However, if it's raining, you're not going to be able to get to do everything you want to do unless you just happily enjoy walking in the rain, which is, well, good for you. But I reckon you can do Lauterbrunnen, Mürren, and the other location, all within just a few hours. You can see all the main spots, and if there's plenty of other hikes and stuff that you want to do, but this is pretty much a half-day trip or a full-day trip, depending on how much hiking you're doing. But for most travelers, a full day in Lauterbrunnen is probably enough to get your waterfall feel and just soaking wet from either waterfalls or rain. Even though with the rain that we experienced in Lauterbrunnen, we were left with such a strong and amazing impression of this place, and we would love to visit this place when it's not raining. But when you're only in a location for a certain amount of time, you kind of have to make sacrifices, and we decided that we wanted to see Lungen not fully in the rain. As you know, you can look ahead and you can see the weather. So we went to Lungen where it was only going to be cloudy weather, and we decided to go to Lauterbrunnen where it was going to be heavy rain. And at times it did stop raining. So these are just, you know, strategic decisions you're going to have to make when you go as well. But however, I hope when you do go, you just get clear, beautiful weather the whole time. And we decided to go to Grindelwald at the point where there was going to be very little rain to no rain. So those videos are going to finally be, like, you know, not us complaining about the weather. But like I said, it rained, but we were just laughing and joking the whole time. Although sometimes my face on the video doesn't express just how much fun we were having. So this is Lauterbrunnen, the place where the waterfalls fall harder than my love for Switzerland, which I'm currently loving a lot at the moment. But anyway, as they say in Switzerland,
Auf Wiederlüge, tschüss.